Hello, everyone. Welcome to All on the Table, the first episode of All on the Table for the Game It All website. I am Phatter Phil with a PH, and this is Fat Adam.
Hey.
You may recognize us from other podcasts that you may follow. We certainly hope you do.
Absolutely.
But this one is associated with the Game It All website, which is a fantastic place. All on the Table is going to be Game It All's source for any type of tabletop gaming news. RPGs, collectible card games, board games, fantasy games, anything of the sort that can be played on a tabletop will be your guys. Today, with our inaugural edition, we're covering quite possibly the game that started the entire hobby.
We might as well just come out swinging.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie.
Today we'll be covering D&D 5th edition. We'll offer a little review.
A little backstory to D&D itself.
A little backstory to D&D itself, and we'll be discussing a little bit about what appeals to people from RPGs in general, most notably the most popular genre, which is fantasy.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Dungeons & Dragons, for those of you who are uninitiated, is a game created by Gary Gygax and Dave Arneson. It was created in '74, based as an expansion of the rules of a game they used to play called Chainmail, which was a miniatures wargaming system.
Yeah.
Still around today, still played today. It's basically D&D, right?
It's basically D&D. It's almost like D&D meets
Well,
Warhammer.
they did come out with D&D minis back in 3.5,
Yeah.
which really
Put a
worked
couple
with
little
it.
examples at the front of the table. Just
Yeah,
in
there's
case
a few
you guys
minis
can
right
see.
over here.
The artwork and painting on the minis are fucking phenomenal.
They've been
You
better.
can go through.
They've been better. Back in the day, you used to have to do it on your own.
That's true.
There were no
I'll
pre-painted
be honest,
minis.
Painting minis is part of the hobby. I love it.
I don't have the patience
I
or the
strip a
time.
lot of them. I just can't do the tiny little details.
I
like
do
eyes
not-
and stuff.
I just don't have the time. That's why I don't do it.
Yeah, it's just
So yeah, it came out in '74. The first actual D&D basic set came out in '77, which was the first version. Then they created AD&D, which was a more concrete version of the system, which lasted from '77 to '79. Then in '81, they expanded the D&D basic set, basic edition of D&D, to a second version, and then in '83 to '86 they supported a third version. There was two sets of rules for D&D for the longest time.
Mm-hmm.
There was the D&D set, and then
Yeah.
there was Advanced Dungeons and Dragons.
I remember. Well, I think I've played AD&D once.
You probably played second edition AD&D,
Yeah.
which is the one that I cut my teeth on. That's the one that
I
I
think I
learned.
played that
the
with
first.
Brian and all them.
Yeah. They ran a game for that too. Now,
Ass kicked.
from 1989, they came out with AD&D second edition, which is the one that, again, that's when I started about 20 years ago. That's the one I played 23 years ago. Then followed up by in 2000 with third edition, and then a way to clean that up in 2003 with 3.5. Then in 2008 they made the grave error of creating fourth edition. Oh.
I played that once.
In response to fourth edition being created,
Pathfinder came out.
Pathfinder came out by the guys who used to own Dragon Magazine, Paizo Entertainment.
And Pathfinder is basically D&D 3. It's what people actually consider the real D&D 3.5.
3.75 is what I like to call
the
it.
rules that it should have been for 4th edition. Pathfinder started to dominate the market.
Oh, incredibly. Local
crushed
game
fourth
stores.
edition.
Local game stores would sell 5 Pathfinder books. Or at first it was 5 Pathfinder books for every 4th edition book, and it turned into astronomical. As a matter of fact, local game store won't take 4th edition
I was going
books.
to say, I'm pretty sure you probably do, but I don't know any of my friends who actually own the 4th edition books. Like, maybe just the main one, but I don't think they own them.
Yeah, I bought the 3 cores when it
Yeah.
came out because, I wanted to support my
so
hobby.
D&D, of course, yeah.
And 3 playthroughs later, I was like, fuck this. I'm going back to 3.5.
Yeah.
And then Pathfinder came out, and I was like, oh my god, Pathfinder's awesome. It's just 3.5, but better. And then finally, D&D redeemed themselves in 2014 and came out with D&D 5th edition, which will be the bulk of the review today, bulk of the cast today. Going quick note, back when 2nd edition came out, when I first started playing it, the thing I noticed most about 2nd edition, even especially now looking back on it, is like, you couldn't play it without the book at the table.
Oh, absolutely not.
Charts, more charts, consulting more charts.
900 pounds of charts every book. And it's like, hey, you want to calculate your damage? There's like 19 different ways to do that. Have fun.
Not to mention on your stat line, it was like.
Was it first or second that had Thaco?
Second.
Fuck.
Thaco. 2-hit armor class 0.
Thaco.
Basically.
That's an even worse chart.
A convoluted rule system that made it so that when you. To roll on your 20-sided die, your D20, which is what D&D tends to use
hit
as the main.
For basically any to hit and saves and stuff like that, almost every D&D and Pathfinder uses D20.
It is the most rolled die in the game. You'll be using it all the time to perform pretty much any action. So 2-hit armor class 0. Back in 2nd edition, the more armor you had, the lower your AC was.
Yeah.
So a suit of plate would give you like a -8 AC. So that means that someone. Oh wait, no, shit, no, I got that backwards. I think
it's still added to your AC, but it just
no, because you subtracted. Yeah, that was it. Yeah. No,
charts,
I'm right. It's because when you rolled to hit, you took a number which was 0, basically. Mm-hmm. If someone had a 0 AC, then you could hit someone on rolling a d20 based on your bonus, whatever your Thaco was. So if my Thaco was a 15, and someone had a 0 armor class, I would only need to roll a 15 or higher on the die to hit someone. So
fuck Thaco.
Yeah. So if someone was shitty at dodging things and had a positive AC number like a 6 or a 7, then you would add that number to the Thaco. And 15 plus 6 is 21. Or no, you subtracted the AC from the Thaco. So 15 minus 6 is 9, so I would only need to roll a 9 or better to hit someone.
You gotta remember, this is coming from a man who actually knows this fucking
game.
Like,
see, and it's just convoluted.
First and second
eventually,
were very, very convoluted and dangerous. Jesus, you could die so fast.
Yeah, well,
they had like 4 hit points for most characters.
That was the nature of the game, really.
Yeah.
You
get one-shotted in 4.
So, if you had a negative AC, you would take the negative AC, which was, in this case, let's say my Thaco was 12, and the guy's AC was -5. So you would subtract the AC from the Thaco number, so it would be 12 minus -5, making it an 18, raising my Thaco number. So
see, I would actually just play this game with people like Phil, and they'd crunch the fucking numbers for me. Because
There's charts.
There are so many charts.
Just consult the chart.
Just the Thaco chart. There's like 4 different fucking charts depending on what you were using against it.
And that's why D&D. That's why D&D.
But it evolved.
It was part of the stigma, right? Like people would look at it and they'd be like, I have to do math to play.
Well, that's why they instantly, you're all fucking super nerds.
Yeah,
only super nerds play this game.
You have to do math to play. It wasn't complicated math, but
it was just a lot of it.
Just had to do it a lot.
That's it. It sounds complicated. Honestly, the charts make it really easy, but it's just a lot of math.
So what happened when 3.5 came around is they decided that fuck Thaco.
Yeah, we're just gonna have an AC. Straight up AC, you roll a d20,
straight up a number. You're good. Yeah, so basically it was just a number, and you had to reach or beat the number to succeed at whatever you were doing, which, to be quite honest, is
the easiest thing.
My God, why did it take them so long?
The 80s were a dark time.
A dark time for D&D. Dark time indeed. Fuck, most of the early 90s. I mean, 3.3. 3rd edition didn't come out till 2000.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, man, all through my high school.
The pre-millennium was a dark time.
All through my high school, it was 2nd edition or bust, sir.
Mine was 2nd, and then it went into 3.5.
Yeah, you're young enough that you don't remember the dark times. But I do.
I still remember.
I remember the Thaco. Which, by the way, is a really good barometer to measure how nerdy someone is. Just ask them what Thaco stands for. Your answer is 2-hit armor class 0. That's right. The O in Thaco is the number 0, not an actual O.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what it is.
Is that the actual definition for it?
Yes. 2-hit armor class. It's the number you have to roll to hit an armor class of 0. So if your Thaco scores a 15, all you need to roll to hit a 0 AC is roll a 15 or better.
Holy Jesus.
That's what it means.
Anyway, that was 2nd edition. Fuck 2nd edition.
Third edition.
It was good for what it was.
Third edition was great. One of my best D&D campaigns of all time, my most legendary characters, was based out of a third edition book and then turned into 3.5 once the stuff started petering out.
Was that Corey's Thief and Marty's?
No. Yeah. No, Marty wasn't there. It was me, Corey, Joe, Richard, Dale, Lloyd, Eric, a cornucopia of people I knew from high school.
Because I remember when I played in your Pathfinder campaign, a lot of those characters came back as like tournament champions.
No, they were.
We were fighting in tournaments.
They were the summons for the materia.
In the one that I played? The
I'm
one that I
pretty
played
sure.
where we died by Death Circle. We had a giant tournament that we were fighting in, and they all basically showed up as like actual
I don't remember that.
contestants in the greatest tournament ever created.
No.
And we got our asses kicked. Like, not against us. We were fighting other level 3s or whatever we were at the time.
I don't.
Remember
No,
the
if I
flaming
remember
death trap
correctly.
that killed half the party?
Yeah, but that was in Ravenloft, man. They had nothing to do with Ravenloft.
No, it was before the Ravenloft campaign.
It would have been a different game
Another one.
entirely, but I'm pretty sure you're thinking of the wrong thing. I never put...
Oh, fuck, that was Corey's campaign, not yours. Sorry.
Yeah, I never put PCs directly against old NPCs.
No,
all the time.
we weren't against them. They were fighting in their own level of the tournament. We
Oh.
were fighting other NPCs.
Whatever,
but anyway,
whatever.
that was Corey's.
That was a different game.
My apologies.
Anyways, 3.5 established this. It established the skill system.
Which was a bit convoluted too.
Not
there's a
really.
lot.
I mean,
There's a lot
there's just
to
a
it.
lot of skills to keep track of.
That's it.
That's all.
5th edition cleaned that up really well.
They did. But fuck, Pathfinder cleaned it up.
They did, well, yeah, because even in
The-
Pathfinder,
the-
like,
the
Pathfinder's
biggest problem-
biggest thing is perception. Like, perception's one of the most used skills, it always will be, but in D&D 3.5, it was like fucking, you had to use scent and...
There was there was spot, listen, and search.
Yeah, and you had to use all 3 of them if you really wanted to technically make a perception check, whereas in Pathfinder, there's like, you're perceiving... everything.
No. Spot was visual perception.
That's what I mean.
Listen
Perception
was
does all of it at
auditory
once.
perception, and search was if you actually wanted to look around something, like actually actively go in there. and
Yeah, I'm
look
saying
at it.
Pathfinder just went, you know what, we're just going to make it all one.
Yeah,
All your
per-
senses... you
Pathfinder
want-
created the perception skill. It just streamlined it all, and it was like one fucking skill that you rolled and did everything. So, anyways, the thing that 3.0 and 3.5, 3.0 in particular had is the rules were play tested, obviously, but
Quite a bit, actually.
they didn't. You were capable of doing munchkinning real easy, and munchkinning is a gaming term for min-maxing your stats or creating just your strongest possible character and taking up as many flaws, but you don't care because you're the best at whatever you took.
Damn.
Back in 3.0, you could
You
do
know what I
certain
mean.
things, like for example, improve critical and keen stacked,
Yep.
which
Which
was
insane.
which was absurd.
Keen
which
doubles
was
your
absurd.
critical hit chance, and
Um,
improved critical also
Okay,
doubles it.
think about it this way. I'll explain how criticals used to work. Normally, a weapon would have a critical range.
Which is
which
anywhere
is-
from 18 to 20.
Yeah, what
On
die
average.
you would roll, what number you would roll that scored a critical hit.
Yep.
So a longsword was a 19 to 20.
Scimitar's
So
easy.
when you roll the die, and you roll a 19 or a 20 on the die, if you still hit them with your bonus, then it was a critical hit, and you would deal more damage.
Yep.
Improved critical increases your critical hit range. So if you're 19 to 20 and you take improved critical, it increases your crit range by 1,
Yeah, so
which
18 to 20.
would become an 18 to
So
20.
if it was with a scimitar, it becomes a 17 to 20.
No. See, the way improved critical is worded
Oh,
is
shit.
it doubles your existing critical range of whatever weapon you're using that you took improved
so
critical
the
on.
scimitar already has 18 to 20, so this
It
would
would
actually
become
make
a
it
16.
16 to 20.
Yeah.
And then Keen would double that.
No, hold on. Hold
Because
on.
Keen doubles critical as well.
No. This is how the wording went. It's worse
Okay.
than what you think.
Oh,
It's
Jesus
worse
Christ.
than what you think.
How can you get worse than like a fucking 50-50 chance to crit?
Oh, you can.
Oh, Christ.
Back in 3.0, I had created a Weapon Master class, which technically abused the critical range rules. That the entire class was built around
Phil was a min-maxer.
scoring. No, he was pretty balanced. It just that
Just
was
this
the
one thing.
the class that I used. Right, it's a good fighter build. You know, it really
Touche, yeah.
it really takes people out. But you know, I'm never going to be a skill monkey. I'm never going to be really good at that. I'm pretty vulnerable
That's
to
it. You're basically a
casting.
fighter.
Yeah, I'm
Like,
just
you're
a
there to
fighter with
fucking kill people.
that's able to go really good burst damage,
Mhm.
basically. So a scimitar is a weapon that has a longer critical range than a longsword. So it is an 18 to 20 instead of a 19 to 20. So 18, 19, 20. So when you took improved critical, it would increase it would double your critical range,
Makes it 16 to 20.
making it a 16
So now you
to 20.
literally have a 25% chance of critting.
Okay. Then Weapon Master gave you certain abilities that were called increase key critical abilities. Key critical abilities would basically give you one more increase, but not a double, just by one. Okay. So it would lower it to 15 to 20, and then you got it one more time, lowering it to a 14 to 20. What Keen does,
Doubles.
what Keen does is a weapon enchantment that you put on a blade that gives it the benefit of the improved critical feat without you having it. So if you're a fighter that doesn't go down the improved critical build, or if you're a non-fighter class that just wants a decent weapon, so you don't get as many feats to create to be a better fighter, a Keen weapon is a good way to get it. You know? So a Keen scimitar, Keen does the exact same thing improved critical does. It doubles the critical range. Back the way it was worded in 3.0, it said an existing weapon. That whatever the critical range of the weapon is, improved critical multiplies that by 2. So a Keen scimitar, which is 16 to 20, gets doubled. So 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So you're
now an 11 to 20.
You're now an 11 to 20, and then
you put the extra 2 points.
put the extra 2 on there, which is a 9 to 20.
But then
No, they add 1. They add 1 to whatever your final score is.
Oh, okay.
So you would end up having a 9 to 20 critical range, and then Weapon Master had another ability called Increased Multiplier, where so many times per day you could alter the multiplier.
Times 3 or 4 or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Jesus Christ.
So there was a weapon enchantment that they found that was called Jagged, and when you criticaled, it would increase your multiplier by 1. So I was going 9 to 20, 2 swings, because I was 2-weapon fighting, 9 to 20s with a times 4 multiplier whenever I crit. And
You can't do that in Pathfinder, can you?
yes, you can. It's just not that insane.
But still.
It's just
You shall teach me the ways after this.
your
After this.
your top end, I think, with a scimitar is like 12.
Still.
Yeah. If
Still
he'll
almost
allow,
a 50%
if
chance.
the Pathfinder guy will allow Weapon Master, because it's 3.5, it's a different system
Yeah.
technically. So
Right,
so
but
yeah,
anyway.
so that's the problem with 3rd edition, and that was just the fighter side. The mage side's even worse.
No, that's it. 3rd edition kind of made it a little almost easy to min-max.
Yeah, like once players got a hold of it,
Oh,
that was it, man.
If you're on
Like,
Google,
they showed
if
you
you
how
go
to
on
break
Google
that
right now
thing.
and you just type in best fighter build,
Oh,
best
just look
whatever
up,
build,
just look up Pun
3.0.
Pun. Just look up Pun Pun.
Yeah, or even look up
Pun Pun is a
you're gonna
magical
find
kobold
that
with
just
a certain set of
blowing.
feats, and abilities that turn him into an infinite stat creature.
Yeah.
It's insane. It's crazy.
So
It's
that's third.
broken.
Anyway, 3.5 clean most of that out.
Yeah, 3.5 clean most of that up. They basically.
I mean, you still min-max a little bit in 3.5.
Oh yeah, don't worry. You can
If you
still
use
build.
all the extended books,
You
in
can
like
still,
Pathfinder,
you can
for
still
instance,
build
you can
game
fucking
breakers in
build.
3.5.
That's it.
The thing is they went and they said like okay, Keen and improved critical don't stack. They said like they straight up say it.
There's a lot of
Haste,
stuff
the
that
spell
doesn't
haste.
stack anymore,
The
yeah.
spell haste doesn't work the same way. Back in the day, haste gave you a full action, right? So a wizard could go in 3.0. A wizard could go hasted action, time stop, and now he has 4 turns to that he's hasted, and time stop back in 3.0 didn't say that you can't use targeted spells, so they would go haste, time stop, twin spells, meteor swarm, delayed blast, fireball, cone of cold, unfreeze, and then in one round the opponent would take like
Fucking
200, 300
yeah.
d6. Like it was
500-600
crazy.
damage easy.
It was just crazy, and shit like this was getting pulled off in the game I was playing. So, but whatever, I
I was
loved
gonna
it.
say you're probably getting a little bit frustrated. As a
dude.
DM, it's good to see, but it's got to be frustrating beyond belief.
Oh yeah.
You're
He,
throwing like, major bosses against them.
yeah, the DM implemented all kinds of rules like the certain creature types couldn't be critted and normally they could, like outsiders couldn't be critted, or this couldn't be critted, or this couldn't be critted. And then when 3.5 came around and cleaned the rules up, he was like, okay, time stop doesn't work like that anymore, and haste only gives you an action, not a full action. So you can only take a swing or a move or whatever, or drink a potion, or
That's it. You can punch somebody one more time.
Haste
but
was
you're not gonna be
great.
punching
Haste
somebody
got
fucking
nerfed
5
for
times.
casters hard.
Yeah.
Hard. Casters really had to go down the meta magic route to really up their feats.
Anyway, so every
anyways,
edition that's come out so far, though, it's gotten better and better. And they really
Yes.
have cleaned up a lot of it
until
until 4th edition.
4th edition. Now, I understand what they were going for. I understand what 4th edition was meant to be.
I don't.
4th edition, okay, you have to understand the state of the industry
Oh, no.
around that time.
I understand why they did it. I don't understand how they thought it was going to fucking work.
Because everyone was playing WoW, man.
I understand, but 4th edition has the worst ratings of any pen and paper RPG that I've ever seen released.
Okay, there's one thing that 4th edition does
It's
well.
worse than GURPS.
There's one thing that 4th edition does well. It does it probably better than anyone I've ever seen. Any system I've ever seen.
Cause people to quit the game.
No. 4th edition allowed new players to learn D&D real easy. Really easy.
Touche. They were trying to bring people back in from the computer world because World of Warcraft was crushing the industry.
Well, not just necessarily
World of
that.
Warcraft for
The
first
industry as a whole,
6 years.
there's a lot of companies that died during that time. White Wolf's just died at that time.
That one made me
D&D's
sad.
sales were going down the tank. Like, they were releasing 3.5 books and stuff like that. People were buying them, but not as much as they should. And of course, there's certain new
Well,
hobbies that started popping
That's
up,
it,
like
not just World of
MMOs.
Warcraft, but when Pathfinder came out, they took over the market.
Yeah. Well, the thing is Pathfinder came out when everyone was sick and tired of 4th edition. The problem with 4th edition is it was very simplistic, but it got those rules at the cost of other things. Back in 3.0 and 2nd edition, whenever a wizard cast a spell, it was a different kind of style, a different kind of play. A wizard could cast a spell, and then your opponents had to react to it. Like, a wizard could cast a fireball. If they did, your opponents have to make a save, and then they take a bunch of damage.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The wizard just shoots fire and forgets.
What's it? And at the same time, the players, if they make their saves, in some cases either take less damage or sometimes no damage.
Yeah, exactly. And
You have a chance
spells,
to dodge.
wizards have spells like Magic Missile, where they cast the spell. It's not a lot of damage, but it never misses. It never misses, no matter what the circumstance. There has to be other magic to stop it. So it was just another fire forget spell, or there were spells that let you do things. They let you feel like a wizard when you played them. Like you're like, okay, this is what a wizard should be like.
Magic Missile was my favorite spell when I had the I can't remember the name of the
Force
item,
Missile
the ones
Mage.
that I could see through the fucking walls, through 5 feet of wall. And then I
X-ray
would
goggles.
fire around corners.
Just goggles, just X-ray goggles.
And then I would fire around corners because I could see my target.
4th edition
Used to be an ass.
went out the door with most of that.
Yep.
They ended up making it so that every single spell was essentially an attack spell.
Yep.
So if I wanted to hit with my Magic Missile, it wasn't just pew, Magic Missile goes
You
off
actually
and
had
hits
to
him.
roll to hit.
I had to roll to hit. That's crazy. I want to shoot him with my fireball. I have to roll to hit. And
And
it
if you missed
implemented.
bad enough, you could actually hit your fucking party members.
Then it
Or it
implemented
would
a
fizzle.
cooldown system, for fuck's sakes. Like, back in the day, it was if you casted any spells or whatever, then you had to wait till you rested up. You used up your magical energy, it made sense.
That's it, but you'd have a certain amount of spells that you could prepare, depending on the class that you were.
Yeah.
Either spells you could prepare, or at least spells that you could cast, let's say 5 level 1 spells per day. So you could cast 5 different spells. But at least you knew, okay, I'll just rest and I'll get them back. And there wasn't any fucking cooldown for one specific
4th
spell.
edition was like, hey, you've got so many spells that are dailies, and you've got so many spells that are encounter, and you've got so many spells that are at will. And
I found it difficult as a caster to keep track.
yeah,
I do.
you had cards that you flipped over, and it was like cooldowns in World of Warcraft. If you've ever played an MMO that has, or a game like that has cooldowns, it felt like you were doing that. And to be quite honest, when I sit down at my tabletop, I don't want to play World of Warcraft. I have World of Warcraft for that.
Yep.
I have my MMO
I
for
never actually
that.
looked at it that way.
Yeah,
The cooldowns from World of Warcraft. That's a good way to compare it. I would definitely say that's exactly what it was like.
yeah, that's what they tried to do, man. They wanted to bring them people in.
They did not.
There was some other stuff that 4th edition did okay. They kept the ritual casting, which was great. Ritual casting, like normally you'd have to wait to cast a healing spell, and it would use up your healing spell, which you could have used for a more valuable spell at some point. But ritual casting allowed you to do it when you were resting up without using your spell. You'd like, I know this ritual, I can cast it, everyone heals. 4th edition had a throw over from WoW, a bring back from WoW that was actually useful was sometimes you'll end up with magical loot that nobody uses. Nobody in your party uses a great axe, but you find a magical great axe. You have to wait to sell it, or in 4th edition, your wizard could disenchant it and turn it into dust and use it to enhance items that people wanted to use.
Because that was a good. I like that. I
like stuff like that.
Quite often I've run into, even in Pathfinder stuff, I've run into items where it's just not beneficial. We'll sell them, great, but realistically, that little bit of gold we're going to split 5 ways isn't as beneficial as that magical item would have been.
Exactly. So, 4th edition caused a lot of problems. People just didn't like it. It was more of a combat simulator than a role-playing game. You could, the argument could be made that the game has about much role-playing as you put into it, which is true, but the system in of itself kind of didn't offer anything to support that aspect of the game.
That's it, and that's what Pathfinder brought when they came out.
Yeah, Pathfinder was
they brought the
hey,
alignment. To want to roleplay again.
Alignment matters, and your role playing matters.
And if your alignment changes based on your actions, then depending on what class you are, there's certain classes you won't be able to do anything basically.
But that being said,
Paladins or clerics.
It brings us to 5th edition.
5th
edition is the we're sorry from Wizards of the Coast.
So,
honestly,
I had given up on Dungeons and Dragons. Not that I didn't like it. It was the fucking thing that brought me into the game industry. It was what made me want to do pen and paper RPGs. But 4th edition, and I'm not even joking when I say this, 4th edition was so bad. I wasn't even interested to see what 5th edition was about. Then it happened on Free Comic Book Day, or on Free Board Game Day,
RPG Day.
Free RPG Day. Jesus fuck. There's so many free days at Comic Hunter. It's awesome.
Yeah, you played one.
Yeah, Free RPG Day. I was playing 7th Sea with you guys, but I was able to overhear the entire 5th edition being played. Wow. I was hooked, and I hadn't even played it yet.
It's basically they sat down and asked the players why 4th edition was not a good product, and they asked them what you want. And so players from all eras of D&D gave their 2 cents. They all gave their advice. They threw out surveys and polls about what of this that you like, what did you like about this version, like how do you like wizards working, how do you like this, and eventually they put it all together and released it as this bad boy right here, D&D 5th edition.
They built a incredible baby.
Yeah, to be quite honest, I find there to be next to no flaws to the system itself. It's a little different. It's still new, so some people who are spoiled by Pathfinder and their ungodly amount of supplements, or 3.5 and the ridiculous amounts of supplements, and trust me, I bought every single 3.5 book that was ever released under the official D&D banner and the Forgotten Realms. So I owned all of it.
Phil blew his entire load on.
I paid a lot of money for these books back in the day.
And they're ranging anywhere from $50, $60 a piece.
Now, back then they were like 30 to 40 sometimes.
Well,
only
30
the
to 40,
big books were
probably
60.
At least, what, like 70 books, give or take?
Oh,
With
it's
all
more,
the extra
way more,
expansions and
way
stuff?
more than that, man.
I'm thinking Pathfinder.
Yeah, Pathfinder's more. Pathfinder's got to be in triple
I thought it
digits.
was more like 70.
It's got to be in triple digits by now.
Jeez.
But anyways,
5th edition, the number one thing that I wanted to start out with 5th edition that I felt that they did perfect was getting rid of the way that skills had originally worked and making it just a more streamlined process.
well, what they did is they immediately, the first thing they did with skills is they linked them to statistics. So any
instead of revolving around
skills
skills,
involving
revolve around your actual
strength
abilities.
are immediately under your strength.
Yeah.
Any skills involving your wisdom are immediately under your wisdom.
And if you're proficient with them, you'll get your bonuses, sure, but it's not. Basically, they didn't have an entire skill breakdown list where you had 30 skills and you had to figure out which ones you would roll when, blah, blah, blah. No. You know what? If it's a knowledge roll, you're going to use your knowledge, you're going to use your wisdom, I believe knowledge is. wisdom or intelligence, whichever one, and you're going to add, if you're proficient in it, you're going to add the small bonus to it, you're done. You don't have to fucking work out, oh, the first rank you put in it, you get plus 3 points, and...
They limited your choices, but they gave you... They still didn't take away any customizability.
Bingo.
That's the key to this system. They really cleaned it up. It's got a little bit of second in there.
Yeah.
It's got a little bit of third in there. It's got a little bit of fourth in there.
And it's got a little bit of its own.
But it's got a little bit of its own.
I like how the feat system works now.
Yeah. So how D&D works is you have mechanically you have 6 statistics: strength, dexterity, constitution, wisdom, intelligence, and charisma. Obviously, these statistics govern things your character can do physically. It's physical and mental limitations. So strength, self-explanatory. Dexterity, your physical speed. Your constitution, your
Dex
physical...
is also used for any range.
Yeah, your coordination, essentially. Constitution, your physical toughness. Wisdom is your, essentially, your ability to do things instinctually.
Yeah, there you go, okay.
Your ability to do things instinctually, your awareness, in a way, like your most of your perception skills are wisdom-based.
Yeah.
Things of the sort. Your intelligence, which is obviously your smarts, how good you are at actual knowledge, and your charisma, which is not your physical appearance. Now, this is really something that people get wrong. High charisma character does not mean you are pretty.
No, it just means
High,
you're good.
No,
Like you're good at talking to people, or
you have a strong personality.
That's it.
That's what charisma is.
Whether it's
your
because of
force
looks, because
of
of talk,
personality.
whatever it is, you have the ability to convince others of your views.
Yeah, it's not a physical appearance. Now you can have the butt fuck ugly motherfucker, and his charisma is a fucking 20. People like him.
Hey,
Perfect,
basically be us.
perfect example. Tyrion.
Tyrion's pretty ugly.
Tyrion's a hideous motherfucker.
He's so much more hideous in the books, though.
In the like he's a hideous motherfucker, but he can make the world move at his words because people believe in his charisma, and he's got some decent intelligence to boot. So so what you do is you have a set of stats that you assign them to how you want your character to be. Do you want him to be stronger? Do you want him to be smarter? Do you want him to be tougher? Blah blah blah. Based on that, you then pick a class. You pick a race, and D&D is high fantasy most of the time. So you pick any of the Tolkien fantasy races: human, dwarf, elf, half-elven, halfling, or hobbits as they're more commonly known, but they are halflings. And then they have more exotic races that are essentially D&D trademarks, like dark elves, which are also known as drow. There's dragonborn, which are basically dragon-blooded humanoids. Gnomes, which are kind of a magically studious halfling. And tieflings, which are kind of demon-blooded humanoids. At some point during their ancestry, yes, someone cavorted with a demon, and when they were born, they exhibited fiendish features. So so those are just some of the many races. D&D has released several supplements since 2014. Every new supplement usually adds a new race, a new option. So it's expanding.
That's it.
It's
and
expanding.
I like it. Every D&D
It's
game's
only 2
always
years
got
old.
expansions. That's it.
It's only 2 years old.
But the one thing that I love about D&D 5th is that Wizards of the Coast has come out directly and said, you know what? Yeah, we're going to release expansions, but we're not going to do what we did with the last editions and release like 5 million of them.
Yeah.
They've
decided to...
one, but when we release one, it's going to have a lot of information. So like what they used to do is they would release like the Bestiary number 2, Bestiary number 3, and every time they would release that, let's say it would have 100 new enemies to fight. Or they would release the Advanced Player's Guide, which would have like 6 new races, 5 new fucking classes, just everything all at once.
Dozens of feats.
D&D seems what they're more doing is each book they'll release like 1 or 2 races, 1 or 2 classes, that's it. Well, and like a bunch of information, but they're not going to drop everything at once and blow their entire load in a day.
Yeah.
And I like that, because it actually keeps me interested to find out what's coming next.
The other thing they're doing too is they've decided to increase their web presence a little more by offering free expansions to whatever product they're releasing next, with some PDFs that are available for free on the Wizards of the Coast website. from the D&D official website.
Mhm.
And they're just like little expansions. Like they're like, do you want to play this race? Do you want to play this? They've actually finally been doing something that I said they should have been doing since fucking like '97 when Wizards of the Coast bought Magic the Gathering. They should have fucking done this then. They're finally releasing D&D supplements about worlds from Magic the Gathering. You can play with Zendikar characters, and
Yeah.
you can play with Innistrad characters now.
Okay. That's not
So,
bad.
like, yeah, they're releasing stuff like that. They're finally, but they're saying it's going to be a long time before you could possibly see D&D in your Magic, but you're definitely going to see your Magic the Gathering in your D&D.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. I like that.
So they're
I
really...
was kind of wondered when they were going to cross-brand, to be honest.
Fuck, man, they've been trying... They've had... It's
Like,
a
they've
match
had the-
made in heaven, man.
That's it. They've had the basis of being able to do this for fucking 20 years.
20 plus years,
They just
man.
haven't done
20 years. Like,
And fans have wanted it done.
I've wanted
Because
it.
most people who play D&D have either now or have at some point played Magic the Gathering as well.
That campaign world that I was in, the one that got me really hooked into 3.0,
Was it based off of Magic
it was
World?
based off Magic the Gathering.
That's what I figured.
So, it was, and it hooked us. It familiar names, and it was fun. We had a lot of fun. And that's ultimately the key to role-playing games. So, after that, you build your character, you pick a class, which is what your character does. So, are you a fighter? Are you a wizard? Are you a thief? Are you a mighty, holy cleric who heals people and helps others? Are you a warlock? Do you owe your power to some otherworldly being? Are you a monk? Are you a spiritual ascetic who kicks a whole bunch of ass with his bare hands? There's a lot of possibilities. There are 9 races and 11 classes.
So far.
Actually more, I'm pretty sure. I think I got
I
that
was gonna
number
say, didn't
wrong.
they just release a couple?
Like I mean, out of the core. There's I'd have to find 5th edition.
We just say based on our knowledge at
Yeah.
this point.
So at this point, yeah.
Give or take. We might be a couple numbers off. Don't get mad if we are, but we are the type we tend to research a lot. But you gotta remember when we're talking about so much in one podcast too, right? We're gonna get 1 or 2 numbers wrong. We're not
So
perfect.
the thing about D&D is it's a lot of fun.
And it brings people together.
When you do it right, it's a lot of fun. You only have to buy the book once. You only have to buy your dice once.
Mhm.
Only thing it'll cost you from that point on is paper, ink, and pencil.
Although let's be honest, you only have to buy your dice once. But I don't know a single person who actually really enjoys playing D&D.
Yeah,
that
one of my
doesn't own,
friends.
like, 10
One of my
sets
friends
dice.
posted something in a Facebook conversation group, and he's got 21 sets of dice,
Yep.
and his girlfriend's got like a dozen.
I went
myself,
with the good old pounder dice. You can buy pounder dice.
I myself have endless.
Oh my god, you and
amounts of
Corey.
fucking dice.
Jesus.
But hey, I've been playing for 20 years, right?
I know. Well, it's just
I
it's
still
so-
have some of my first dice.
I
ever
always
bought.
find it funny when Corey comes over and he creates a new character and he pops out like 15 sets of dice. He's like, which color would go proper with this character? I'm like,
Yeah,
what
well,
the
We're
shit?
not gonna talk about Corey that way.
I'm just like, these dice, whichever ones I pull out of the bag first, that's what I'm using for my character.
So
Right there.
when you play an RPG like Dungeons and Dragons, you get yourself in a group of friends. One of you has to be the dungeon master, which is essentially the person who runs the campaign world.
Yep.
I have been running a game in one form or another now since 2004,
a hell of a lot of work.
2003. For the longest time, it was out of the exact same campaign world. I play once in a while, but for the most part, I'm a DM, a dungeon master. Now, the dungeon master is responsible for setting the story, because ultimately you're getting together to tell a story. The dungeon master is the person responsible for the world, the encounters, the people in it, the actual structure of the story itself. Whereas everyone else are the players. They are the characters. They are the stars of the show. They are the ones who will change this world for the worse or the better.
Mm-hmm.
And you just get together and you have fun. You just sit there. You play your game together. The DM gives you challenges. He gives you riddles. He gives you things to overcome. He gives you character moments. And it's up to you as a player to go through with them.
Well, some games can be over as quick as 4 or 5 hours for a one-shot. Some games can last years.
Mm-hmm. D&D gives you a set of rules, set of guidelines, so that the game can be streamlined, so that the game will have something that gives it structure. So the story will have more structure. There are people who use just bare bones rules. They're like, they only use a d20 and say, and maybe like 2 kinds of damage dice, and they're like, roll 15 or better. If you succeed it, you succeed. If not, you don't. And they just roll with the punches that way. Some people are more into the actual full mechanical versions, and they are sticklers for the rules.
Yep.
They're like, if it does not say that in the book, I don't want it. And there's all kinds of in between. But ultimately, it's a story. It's a game about telling a story.
Mm-hmm.
It's a game about human interaction and capturing your imagination. And D&D does it in a fantasy setting. There are other RPGs out there with other settings. There's sci-fi, there's horror, there's westerns, there's anything you can imagine. There's probably an RPG for it. And there are also generic RPG systems like GURPS, Rifts, Savage Worlds. All of these RPG systems let you just make something from scratch and fit it to any setting you want.
Yeah.
Do you want to play sci-fi today? Well, we'll whip out the GURPS system and we'll do a bunch of sci-fi stuff. Or we'll break out Savage Worlds and we'll do steampunk type of thing. And then there's the licensed properties for role-playing games.
Star Wars.
Do you want to play in the Star Wars universe? Do you want to play in the Star Trek universe? Do you
Marvel.
want to play in the Marvel universe?
Well, it's not technically Marvel. The superhero one, it's not really...
No, I have the Marvel role-playing game.
Oh, there's one for Marvel as well? 'Cause
I
was
have
thinking
a
of the-
Marvel role-playing
the-
game. There's
the
a DC
regular,
one out there, too.
The regular superhero one, but it wasn't based on any...
Yeah, like
specific-
Champions.
Yeah.
Champions, yeah.
That was
No,
based off
no, there's
superheroes.
like
Actually,
you
they
play
made
superheroes.
a MMORPG out of that. On,
Yeah.
online.
They also, Frig, if you really want to, they have a wrestling one. The pro wrestling RPG.
Just want to toss out, once Marty's campaign is done, we are actually playing that one. We're trying it out because Richard Burke owns it.
Oh, fuck. Good.
And I will be Marty's manager. I'm playing a manager. Fuck wrestlers. I'm playing a manager. There is manager archetype.
Yeah, I know. It's
There's
part of the
8
show,
different.
man.
There's 8 different fucking archetypes you can pick. There's like the high flyer, the brawler, the jobber, manager.
It's part of the show, man.
Although the book warns you not to pick that the first few times you play because it's like it can be very boring, but very complicated. I'm like, fuck it.
Okay, I'm gonna. Do you want to borrow my Bobby Heenan DVD so you can see the greatest manager of all time? And get
Is
some
he a
pointers?
heel though?
Oh yeah.
Okay, then yes.
Bobby Heenan is the greatest heel manager
Me
of all
and Marty
time.
are gonna be straight up heels, and you know, you guys heard it here first. If Marty watches this, I'm fucked, but whatever. You know, when it comes to Title Town, I'm gonna betray Marty. You know.
But you can't. You're a manager. You're not wrestling. You can't betray
I
him.
can interfere though. I can interfere by either keeping the referee's attention
Making someone more heel.
or hitting someone with like a chair
Fuck,
with
I
the ref's
wanna
not
play
looking.
this now.
Oh, you don't even fucking get it. It's got like rules for like how not to get caught by the ref. How
Yeah. I know.
And it
how
only
would go.
takes 2d6. That's the entire game play. You have 2d6 to play the game. I'm excited.
Alright, anyways,
Sorry, off
role-playing
track.
games are great. So, ultimately, 5th edition is a great version of D&D.
Yeah.
The rules are more streamlined, they're easier. You still roll a 20-sided die, you still add your bonus to hit, but your stats have a cap. You technically can't have higher than a 5 bonus in
And it's a
any
good
stat.
game to get into. It's
Oh,
a
yeah.
good way to introduce yourself to the entire fucking world of...
D&D 5th edition, the one thing they carried over from 4th edition is it's very new person friendly.
Absolutely.
It really is. There's a now the system has what's called proficiency, where if you pick a character class that's good at a thing, you will get a bonus and be better at it than most other classes.
Yep.
Each class has proficiency in different things. The other big rules change that has happened is called the advantage and disadvantage rule. If there's anything in
That's my favorite rule.
if there's anything you have during combat that is favorable to you over your opponent, you get what's called advantage, which means you roll the dice twice and pick the better of the two. Disadvantage is the opposite. If your opponent has superiority to you and you have to do something, you roll 2 dice and you pick the worst of the two. Disadvantage triggers a lot of combat situations, whether or not a rogue can sneak attack, whether or not you have a better ability at shooting someone, what cover does, things of the sort. So they simplified it, but they did it in a way that's really intuitive and really fun.
I agree.
The spells are there's no more cheese. Finger of Death no longer instant kills people, which, to be quite honest, if there was ever a PC versus PC fight, you got Finger of Death during the first
Well,
round.
you either got Finger of Death or you get Feeble-Minded.
Oh, even better was Phantasmal Killer.
Was it Feeble-Minded? Was it the one where you basically just turn somebody into a complete idiot?
Yeah. Phantasmal Killer, 3rd level spell, insta kill.
Yep.
You can insta kill somebody at level 5. Broken. I almost wiped an entire party out with it like two games ago.
I hate those spells, I'm not gonna lie. Because I'm never the spellcaster.
But it doesn't do that now. Now it offers a whole ton of damage, but not an instant kill.
Exactly. Chance to survive.
It's a lot of fun. They kept the ritual system from 4th edition, which is great because you know what? You don't want to use the spell to cast the Identify spell. You want to sit down during your break, spend 10 minutes and cast Identify. You know, things like that. If you really want, if you're really curious about it, go to your local game store. Usually they'll have a group running. We have 3 groups on Wednesdays at our local store.
Yeah.
And from there you can get in touch with other players. There are events. Free RPG Day is something run every year where they demo usually 3 to 4
out ones, yeah.
3 to 4 game systems, so you can really get a feel for it.
And there's always prizes at those too, by the way, guys.
Oh yeah,
Definitely
great
check it
prizes. We had T-shirts, sets of dice.
out. I don't even want to
special
talk about sets of dice.
supplements.
Doug!
I owned them. I got them. I got the dice. Doug got the T-shirt.
That had the green dice. Those were the ones I wanted.
Yeah.
In the T-shirt, there was green dice too.
Was there?
Yes.
Oh.
They weren't as nice as yours, but there was dice inside,
Was it
and they were specifically the
Oh, the free RPG Day dice.
free RPG
Yeah.
dice. That bothered me.
Yeah.
Sherry's like, you can have one. I'm like, really? Doug's like, no.
Aw.
Damn it, Doug.
Meanie.
Don't get me wrong, I would have done the same. They're my dice.
So, yeah, the role-playing games are really more of a passion than a hobby for me. I
It builds
spend
good camaraderie too, though.
I spend 3
That's how we
three-
met.
I spend 3 to 4 nights a week with RPG games.
That is literally how me and Phil and me and Corey and Marty and all of them met. Is I literally walked into our local game store. I'm not sure if we're allowed to drop names or not, but it's on my fucking head anyway. So
Yeah, the Comic Hunter.
That.
I can tell you, almost everyone I am friends with
Is
or
that
that
how
I
you guys
hang
met?
out with, I've met through RPGs, playing
That's
with them.
it. I just walked in one day to see what it was all about because I hadn't played in fucking years.
One of my
And-
closest friends, who's also my cousin. Like, we were cousins. We knew each other for a long
I
time.
thought
We
you
were
were going to say Shaggy.
we were relatively close, but then he wanted to play D&D when he was in high school and I was an adult, and I ran a D&D game for him and his friends at school, and now we're like as close as brothers.
Yeah.
You know, like it.
Like, we're not
it
joking when
brings
we say this
people
game will
together.
bring you together, period.
It brings
But
people-
it'll give you what you want out of it. If you go into any RPG, whether it's D&D, whatever it is, if you go into it expecting a fun time with good people and everything, absolutely you're going to get it. But if you go into a game, the one personality that I find doesn't always fit the game is if you go into a game expecting that, you know what, I'm going to take control and I'm going to be the one who leads this, blah, 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 you're going to find constant bickering and it will kill the party. It really will.
But here's the thing, though. I don't go into games planning that, but I always end up being that. Like, I'll enter a game.
Me and Corey fight every week.
I'll enter a game and I'll make like
Funny.
a very low-key character who doesn't have a strong personality or anything of the sort,
And he'll end up being the leader.
and I'll end up being the leader. I'll
Well,
end
you
up
tend to
being
know
the
the
guy.
most rules too, though.
Yeah, but it's because
You've done it so much.
it's because I'm enthusiastic about the game. I'm enthusiastic about playing my character. I'm enthusiastic about finding out what happens next. It's why I don't care about getting spoilers for anything, because my curiosity for what happens next is more important than
Well, that's it.
than, you know, like,
I'm like you. A spoiler for me doesn't ruin it because I don't give a shit what the end product is. I want to know the journey that got there.
like I don't care looking up a spoiler for a movie on Wikipedia
Same thing.
and then going to see the movie, because to me reading it and seeing it are two completely different experiences.
Well, and it's not just the ending, as mentioned. It's the journey to get to that ending.
yeah,
You
and
can tell me,
and the thing
oh,
is,
this person's this guy's dad.
it's
Great,
D&D.
but I wanna see how
D&D
that
is
got
supposed. You can use it as a combat simulator, but it's supposed to be a story.
Yep.
And
Very rarely do I ever have too many people who have played with me who try to do just a combat simulator. Usually, if it's that way, it's because the group itself just really wants to kill stuff. So you know what? A week or two of killing
Great
stuff,
way
you
to
should
get up
that out of there.
frustrations. Great way to get up frustrations. You know what? Everybody roll a bunch of level 3 characters. You're fighting an army of goblins. And, you know...
Try to survive as long as you can.
Yeah, you know, things like that. You go through a horror setting. Guess what? You're rolling plain Jane human characters. Welcome to a zombie apocalypse. Let's see if you can survive. Things like that.
By the way, they also
role-playing
have
games-
zombie role-playing games.
They have supernatural style role-playing games, yes. Role-playing games are the best drug I've ever had. I've been
Best legal
Hook-
drug.
I've been hooked on it for 23 years, and it's not going away anytime soon.
If you guys have any questions that come up about role-playing games, D&D, any of it, or you just want to shoot the shit and maybe ask us what our thoughts are, what we can help your group out with, whatever. I mean,
Yeah, just message us, post it in the comments section on the Game It All website once the video's posted.
Yeah, we will get back to you
keep
guys every
keep
time.
in touch with us. Game It All is a top-notch gaming and entertainment website.
And if you guys ever want to run a campaign online as well, or you need some help running a campaign online, message us directly as well. I will either play or I will DM. I've done it before. I love online.
I'll give you advice, but I'm very sometimes I'm very elitist about what I play with. Ultimately, to give you a final review of D&D, I believe 5th edition is the most superior incarnation of the game. It really shows its polish, it really shows its shine. As far as a game goes, there's really not much wrong with it.
There's always going to be little tweaks.
I do have a minor complaint. Back in 3.0, 3.5, 2nd edition, a character's alignment, which is their behavioral pattern, was relevant.
I said I had to do it.
Yeah.
So.
Was relevant. If you were lawful good, then there were certain rules around the game that revolved around being lawful or good. Basically,
Well, there were certain spells you
couldn't cast, or
actions
were
you
more
couldn't do.
effective. Certain magic items were better against you. Things of the sort.
Yeah.
If you were chaotic evil, the same thing.
Prod evil, prod good were
Whatever.
pretty powerful spells.
Alignment has no mechanical value whatsoever in 5th edition. Protection from good, protection from evil, all of those spells, they affect creature types now. When you cast protection from evil, you choose fiendish or fey or abyssal, and those creatures you get protection from.
Alright,
Protect-
that would be my pet peeve too.
Not
pet peeve, I just...
Holy weapons,
Role-playing
unholy
alignment was part of what made it amazing, because your GM at any point could say, you know what, that actually doesn't fall under your alignment, so you're starting down the path of
You can
losing
still
it.
do that, but now it's just a hard experience penalty,
Yeah.
right?
Because in 3.0 and 3.5, like for instance, if you were a cleric, paladin, you have to be lawful good.
You must be lawful good, yeah.
And if you
were a
broke
monk,
that
you must be
alignment-
lawful. If you're a barbarian, you had to be chaotic.
Yeah, and if you broke that alignment,
in-
though, especially as a paladin, you would lose favor with your god.
In 3.5, welcome to chaotic good monk. Welcome to lawful good, lawful evil barbarian. Welcome
or
to,
lawful evil paladin. Which
welcome
was
to
technically,
neutral
what's it
neutral
called?
evil paladin or chaotic
What
good
was
paladin.
the lawful evil paladin.
Blackguard.
Blackguard, thank you.
They are, all those possibilities can be done now.
Yeah.
I like that. I really do. Because
I just don't like the lack of alignment change or change-based spells. That was kind of part
you
of what
can't
made your
affect
character-
alignment, but that's the thing. There's no holy damage anymore. There's no unholy damage. Now there's necrotic damage and radiant damage, but they're not affected by alignment. They're simply a damage type. Holy
Okay.
spells will deal radiant damage, whereas necromantic spells will deal necrotic damage and things of the sort.
Alright. No, yeah, I mean, everything I've seen from 5th edition, I can tell you guys right now, this has been...
But again, that's nitpicking. It's nitpicking for me.
That's it. If that's the one thing that... And trust me when I say...
Oh no, there's more. There's
you
more.
all know how salty Phil
I
can
bought
be.
I bought my D&D 3rd edition books, my 2 players handbooks here. These are both mine because this is one of the best advices I could give someone. Buy 2. Don't just get one. Everyone at the table, like if you want to play with someone who can't afford a book and you can afford 2, get 2. Because you always want someone to be able to access a player's handbook whenever they need to, because it's useful. It's really one of the best starting advices I can get. Buy 2 players' handbooks. The other books, you only need 1. The DM's the only one who needs the other books. But players need a player's handbook per player, ideally. Now, when I bought my books, I bought them as soon as they were released. This has been a huge complaint for pretty much the entire D&D community when it first came out. These books are less than 2 years old. I can take entire pieces out of the binding. The gluing, the binding was that terrible.
Ooh, yeah, I can see the other book's even rougher.
The other book, even rougher.
Jesus. Alright.
These are relatively new. These are in amazing
They're like
shape.
$60.
They're amazing shape for 2-year-old books.
Nowadays?
Yeah, and you're paying $60 for these things. So, you want your money's worth. For this is your dungeon. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I knew they were gonna fall anyway!
This is your Dungeon Master's Guide. My Dungeon Master's Guide. This is actually a loose.
Looks like mint condition.
This Dungeon Master's Guide. No loose binding yet.
Wouldn't you have shit your pants if
Nothing wrong with
you
it.
did that the whole thing came out?
Yeah. Honestly, I believe it was a manufacturer's default in the first print run
And they
that
probably
did
didn't
it.
bother recalling it.
I'm pretty sure you won't get the same problem now, but Wizards of the Coast has fielded complaints, and they have been known to replace books
Did you
for
ever
players.
field yours?
No, whatever. I have this thing called laziness and procrastination, and it just gets in my way of doing pretty much anything I want.
Yup. That's why it's taken 2 extra weeks for us to get this done. I'm lazy and I procrastinate. That's what
So,
it's
in conclusion, D&D 5th edition is fantastic. I think it's great. One of the best versions of the game to come out so far.
Mm-hmm.
The rule set is fantastic. It's really intuitive, really good. Great for veterans and newbies alike.
D&D finally was able to compete with Pathfinder.
I give it a great rating. I'll give it out of 5. I'll give it 4.5 out of 5. The alignment thing, kind of weird to deal
and the
with.
Binding thing.
The binding thing was really, really annoying. And there's
a reputable score.
there's stuff you'll find when you get into it. I'm sure other people will find there's other little minor things that I just don't want to get into because they're really technical. But D&D is great. If you've been wondering about it or wanting to try it, try it. Find a way to try it. Go to your local game store. Go to your local hobby shop. It's a great way to meet people. It's a great way to socialize. It's a great way to have some fun on the cheap.
Well, it's a great way to have fun on the cheap until you start buying all the shit.
Well, that is it. But
Don't try to jump. Okay, my one piece of advice I would give everybody out there watching this who's never played before: do not try to jump immediately into DMing if you have never played the game. Play the game first. Otherwise, if you start DMing a group of people who have played before, that is the one time you're going to get a lot of pissed off players. Because if you're the DM and you have to search every rule that comes up, there will be frustration, of course. Just play the game once or twice first.
So this is it for our first episode of All on the Table. We talked a bit about role-playing. We will have other episodes where we will talk about D&D. I do want to have an episode later on where I have a bunch of DMs with me, and we talk about DMing in general, and what to bring to the table as a DM. Maybe help new-time DMs who want to learn.
And I will sit there and smile for most of that one.
We will also be reviewing other tabletop games, like tabletop card games, maybe living card games. We'll be talking about classic board games like Settlers of Catan. There won't be no Monopoly. There won't be no Trivial Pursuit.
I was going to say, we're not doing like Candyland.
There won't be none of that garbage.
Good.
Although
we're doing games that actually have rules that you need to pay attention to. Except for Monopoly, which I'll be completely honest, there's like 10 fucking rules for that game that I didn't even know existed.
Monopoly's it's not a game. Monopoly's a capitalism simulator.
Monopoly's a family ruiner.
Monopoly's a capitalism simulator. It's terrible.
The only story I'm ever going to say about Monopoly, I was 8 fucking years old playing with my family, and my uncle used to steal money from the bank. I was 8.
What does that say about your uncle?
You know who I'm talking about.
So once again, I'm Fatter Phil, and this is Fat Adam.
Fat Adam.
And we thank you for this inaugural episode of All on the Table, and hope to see you again. Peace out.
Talk to you guys next week.